intend to put in there. See, stress is all about whether or not we have the resources to meet the demands, right? Let it be workplace stress or hassles of daily life or stressful incident, whatever it is. If you do not have the resources to meet, to answer the demands life is throwing at you, then you'll feel stressful, right? So it is to understand that we can't always point the situation, we can't always say the external factors that is causing stress, and we can't always see the stressors from outside. If we are not prepared enough and if we are not contributing enough to handle those stressors, and I think however smooth and simple the situation is, if we don't equip yourself, then I think stress will definitely be present. So it could be a demand in the job, right? When we were all working from office, right, working from our campus, and then we all shifted to online working. So there was a shift from offline to online. The methods in which we work, the platforms, it all changed. But then people who are able to adapt, right, people who are able to make a shift from offline to online without any much of a hindrance, didn't face much of stressful experience. But then people who are technologically challenged, maybe people who are 45 plus or 50 plus who are still working and who couldn't go through this transition smoothly because of their challenges they had with operating in technological platforms. It was heavily stressful for them, right? So in that particular scenario, it is the challenge that is provided and how equipped they are to face the challenge. So if you are competent enough and if you have the resources to meet the demand, you're not going to be feeling stressful, right? Like back a decade ago, right? Let's say a decade and a half ago, when computerization was done in most of government banking sector. Previous to which it was all paperwork, but then a decade ago it was all shifted to computerized. And then again, people who were in their late 40s, they were not able to adapt, and that took a bigger time for them to understand the process. And the meanwhile of training and adaptation was heavily stressful for them. Right. So stress not is always from an external source, but you should always be mindful about how prepared we are. So there are certain ways in which we can bring our workplace stress under control. So I'll be talking about that in the first half, and then we'll slowly move to work-life balance. So the very first pointer to be understood, is by bringing in a minor change in the way you start your day. Because imagine yourself, like if you're a working professional who's all set, as in, let's say, you have a family, you have kids, then it's quite a hustle to start your day, right? Like you would be just running here and there, and clearly, like say, you have to drop your kids to school or you have to drop your spouse at work, and you have to dodge in the traffic. It could be sometimes you could get stuck in there, and then you have to do a rough ride or a drive to work, and then you wouldn't have your nutrition properly, so breakfast properly. You just skipped breakfast and just had a cup of coffee, and you came down to work, and it could be heavily stressful. Let's say imagine the time period that you have to maintain, you have to punch before a particular time. So just visualize you moving to work, in such a way that you arrive at work already stressed out, right? Traffic, nutrition levels are low, time management is poor, the morning schedules or routines are high, and you reach workplace where you're already stressed before even starting with your day, right? This makes you more reactive to stress in the workplace, because now your reaction levels are high, you're already stressed up, and even if a minor stressor comes your way, you're going to throw at it. So you have to first of all avoid morning stress, right? That has to be done. So how you might be surprised, to understand the impact of how your morning stress creates on your work schedules and your day at work. Just visualize or just think about how we just set the scenario completely filled with morning stress, and then imagine another scenario where you're very casual. You have ample time to look at your morning routine, and you had your breakfast. Let us consider A, B, C, D, all your tasks to be done before you reach work, and you were able to do all of it at peace, right? It is going to be a fresh start for your day, right? It is not going to be that stressful as compared to the previous scenario. So you have to start your day with proper planning, you know, ample time in hand, good nutrition levels, and in general a positive attitude, right? And when you start your day, when you begin your day with such positive attitude, the job stress, even if it rolls down your way, it is very easy to back it off, right? Because if you are already primed with a negative attitude towards the day, then it just gets added up. But when you start with a positive attitude, even if there are hustles coming your way, it is easy for you to tackle it, right? So this is one thing that you can do from your end, right? Change the way you start your day. So this is irrespective of the stressor that is coming or what is planned for your day. But if you can start your day in a particular way, in a positive way, if you can avoid morning stress and begin your day with an amazing positive attitude, it really helps you to keep your work stress under check. Right? And you have to be very clear on your requirements, right? So, what causes a lot of stress in the workplace, even leading to burnouts, right? Leading to burnouts is that we aren't sure about what is expected out of us and what we are expected to do that particular day, right? Your expectations, your goals that are set for the day are not clear. So we have to be clear on our requirements. So if you do not know what exactly is expected out of you, or if the expectations keep changing with no or little notice. Yesterday evening when you left, you were asked to work on a particular task, and the next day morning when you show up at work, they're asking you to work on something else. So you would be prepared to work on a different document. Now you're working on a different thing. So this change, you might become extremely stressed, right? You might definitely become extremely stressed. So if you have clear idea set for what you're going to do today, right? If you know your goals, what you're going to do, that is enough, and if you want to keep this in check, have regular conversations with your supervisor. We have a general tendency to walk away from that, right? We do not want to discuss because it might land up in something else, or X, Y, and Z consequences that we imagine it could happen. But if you regularly stay connected and in touch with your supervisor and align your goals, right, you can expect what is coming your way, and then you can plan accordingly. Right? Once you know that these are the coming expectations, you would be able to plan your strategies for meeting them. Right? As I said, there is a demand, and if you do not have the resources, when you feel stressful. Once you understand this is your demand, you can start planning your resources for that. Right? You can make arrangements, necessary arrangements to have the resources ready, so that when the demand is coming your way, you have the resources, you don't feel stressful. Right? And this can relieve the stress for both of you and your supervisor, whoever is involved. So, in order to know your goals, it is enough if you are aware of your short-term goals. Right? When we talk about short-term goals, it is sufficient if you know what you are going to do for today and what is expected to be complete in the near future. Right? Don't plan for months ahead or years ahead. It is of no use. Right? Because life is very dynamic. Every day, is a surprise, and things keep changing. You can't pre-plan, a lot of things when it comes to workplace. So keep your goals limited to what happens today. You just have a goal for the particular day, working day, and then maybe for the near future, let's say for the next 2 weeks, this is going to be the agenda. That is sufficient. Right. And conflicts in the workplace can drain our energy. Right? That is for sure. When you have repeated conflicts in the workplace, it is going to drain our energy. So there are two things to be understood here. Either you should improve your conflict management game, right? As individuals who are very very active in the social front, where we interact with people on a daily basis, we should upgame our conflict management skills, or simply stay away from conflict. Either we should be able to do one of this. Yeah. So when we talk about conflicts, an individual, as per statistic, has to experience a minimum of 5 conflicts a day, right? Like starting from a home environment to work environment, or even the social environment. On an average, an individual will experience 5 conflicts a day, 5 basic difference in opinions, different ideologies, different values, different thoughts, different preferences. So it will all end up in a conflict. The intensity might vary. It could be a very simple conflict that gets resolved immediately, or something might take the entire day and drain your energy. But minimum of 5. And imagine you're working in a very packed environment which has more potential for conflict, then the number will increase for you. Right? So there could be difference in interest. There are different personalities in the workplace, and their ideologies differ. You have difference in standards or expectations. You have a particular standard, your colleague has a different standard, or you all have different communication styles. Right? These are all possible. So you should be able to resolve conflicts well, understand and improve your conflict management style, or simply avoid getting into a conflict. Right? So that is the best way. The best way to solve a problem is not getting into one. So if you do not want to get into a conflict, how to prevent a conflict? You have to be respectful of other people's opinion. Right? It is the rule of thumb. You have to respect others' opinions, even if they differ from you. Right? You agree to disagree. Build empathy and respect their point of view. Respect what they have to mean, what I have to say, because people come from different backgrounds, different experiences, different lifestyles, different values, and these differences influence the way they think. Right? So you never know why a person is thinking of a scenario in a particular way. Their background is different. So just be respectful of other people's opinion. You might agree, you might disagree, but don't make it a conflict. Just respect what they want to say, and choose your words carefully. Like, it is our choice. Particularly when you disagree with a particular person, right? It is better if we say that I think that, I feel that, more of I statements. So when you use more of I statements, it emphasizes that you're talking about your experiences, your ideas, and you're not imposing that on another person. Instead of saying what you did is wrong, or you didn't think it the right way, if we say I feel that this could be different, or I think that there will be a better idea, you are talking about yourself. Right? The premise is you, and that is more respectful when compared to pointing at other people. And know when to walk away. You shouldn't be walking away from all the conflicts, because that will not solve. But when you think that the argument is getting heated up and you don't think that there is a requirement for a break, then you can say we'll discuss this later. Let's just take a break. It is within your boundary, right? You can ask for time away or space away from someone who is creating a lot of conflicts with you, because that is very important for your well-being. So improve your conflict management game, or try to stay away from conflicts. That is much better. And already when you're working on something and that is demanding your energy, if there is something else that is draining your energy, you're going to be tired very soon, right? So it is better to avoid such drains, right? uh, it is important, to stay organized, because let's say, um, even if you are a naturally disorganized person, right? It is not your cup of tea for planning things ahead and keeping everything in an organized fashion. But at least from a work point of view, at least your cabin, your workspace, your desktop, your things that are related to your work, try to keep a habit of keeping it organized, right? Because imagine you are looking for a particular document in your system, right? And it's just you're very sure it's there in your system, it's there in your laptop, but you're not sure where you have saved it, in which particular folder, or which file. We do have search options available, I agree, but what if you don't know the name of the file and how you have saved it, right? So in the very end moment where you need the file immediately and you're searching for it for the past 10 to 15 minutes, you're not able to spot the file, it will cause a lot of stress, right? So at least in chances of soft copies where you save it in your systems, you have search options. Imagine hard copies of files, some data which is in paper form, hard copy, and you're not able to spot the file in your cabin, right? The level of stress increases in every second or in every minute. So staying organized cuts down our loss of energy in many ways. And being organized means less rushing, and you can avoid any other further consequences, which is unnecessary. So if you avoid cluttering, right, just avoid clutter, and it can help you to be more efficient with your work, right? So stay organized, plan properly for your day, keep your resources in check, and that is very important for a stress-free workplace. Ergonomics, right? Ergonomics is nothing but being comfortable, at a workplace. So that is the sole idea of ergonomically designed equipments. Like when we talk about a chair in your workplace, if that is ergonomically designed, that is going to eliminate a lot of your physical discomfort, which could have caused stress, right? If you're sitting in a position which is not comfortable for you, staying there for longer whiles can cause physical discomfort, and that same physical discomfort can cause you stress. Imagine having constant pain in your back or constant pain in your neck. That will cause an irritation, and you'll end up feeling stressful. So you have to make ways to be comfortable, because physical discomfort is a major stressor at work, right? So at least look at your desk, look at your cabin, and see, because that is the space where you're going to perform most of your daily tasks, and see if it is comfortable for you. If not, make it comfortable, right? If you think there could be some arrangements made, some alterations made to your desk, to your cabin, and if that alterations can help you feel comfortable, then you can avoid unnecessary stress at your workplace. because you might not notice that you're starting to feel stressful because of the uncomfortable chair that you're sitting in, right? You are going to spend your entire day in that space, right? You might have a sore back, and you're more reactive to stress, you're more irritated. The more discomfort you feel, the more irritated you are, right? Like even simple things like office noise. If there is a recurrent noise in your office and that is causing you a lot of distraction, you will feel irritated, you will feel stressed. So in that case, if you can put your headphones on, have some productive music running in the background, it can help you, distract from that, and it will create a required positive environment for you, like a soothing workplace. Right. So ergonomically alter your workplace so that you are comfortable in your own cabin in your desk, because this is one stressor that you can eliminate, because this can bring in a lot of discomfort, physical discomfort, and that can cause you irritation leading to stress. Then you know multitasking was once considered as a fantastic element, because we thought if we can do two tasks at a time, if we can do multiple tasks at a single given time, that is going to be more productive, right? It is going to maximize your time and you're going to get more done in a day. But it is all a myth of multitasking, because however people eventually they started to realize that it is not working, right? Say you're working on something with headphones on, you're talking to someone and you're working. So you're doing two tasks at a time. You're attending a call and you're working on in any particular task. You're sometimes not listening to what that person is saying to you, or sometimes doing a lot of errors in the task that you are working on your system, your laptop. And basically, if you want to get on a call, if you're just on a call, single task of attending a call, it might take you 5 minutes. Or if you are working on a particular given task, if you single-handedly go for it, it might take you 10 minutes. If you want to put these tasks in an order, first you attend the call for 5 minutes, then complete the task, it's going to take you 15 minutes. But when you put both of this together, it will solidly take you 20 minutes to complete the task, right? So always when we consider about time efficiency, single tasking, doing one task at a time is more time efficient than multitasking, right? Because what happens here when you multitask is that your brain is not opening split screen mode, just like how we use in our systems. We are not using split screen, right? One half of the screen in a particular task, another half of the screen in a particular task. No, our brain doesn't work that way. Rather, we keep two tabs open, right? There is one tab and one window, another window, and you keep switching between the tabs, between the windows. So for a minute, you will be looking at the first tab. For the next minute, you will be looking at the next tab, or even boiled down to seconds. You keep jumping from A to B and A to B. Okay, so when you do that, it is going to drain more of your energy, right? Just sticking to tab A, completing it, and then moving to tab B demands lesser energy when compared to toggling between tab A and tab B. You have to constantly juggle between these two, and it is very, very demanding and stressful. On longer run, multitasking is also brings a major impairment for your cognitive abilities, right? So avoid multitasking. That is definitely not a good way to complete your tasks, and multitasking is sometimes a major stressor in workplace. Being active, a lot of stress is experienced because of a lack in physical activity. If you are at your own workplace and you're just in your desk, throughout your day, the more time you spend in your desk, the more sluggish you get, right? The more tired and irritated you are at work. So many people feel stressful because of the sedentary lifestyle that they are in, right? They feel a lot of ill effects because of it. So you can definitely combat the physical and mental effects of work stress by bringing in a little of activity, physical activity, being a little active. You can walk at lunch. You have 30 minutes or let's say you have 1 hour lunch break and you're done in 35-40 minutes. You can do a bit of activity in there to keep yourself pumped up for rest of the day, right? If your schedule allows and if you can, try taking short exercise breaks throughout the day. A bit of stretching or physical movement, walking, like say, a minimum of 500 steps in between. It can lift your mood, it can make you feel better, and it can help you reduce the steam that is building in the pressure that is building in your head, right? Physical activity definitely has a major relationship with our mental well-being as well, right? I think that is well established already, the premise. So instead of just being sedentary and sluggish, if you are a little active, it makes your mood a little better. And keep your perfectionism in check. Okay, perfectionism is definitely not a very great positive thing to be embraced all the time. Embraced all the time. No. You could be a high achiever. You might want to, keep things ready. You want to get your work done because that is one way to feel good about yourself, right? And by doing it, you excel at work. But if you are being a perfectionist, that can create problems for you and also for people around you, right? That is definitely there. Being a perfectionist is not only a problem for yourself but also a problem for people around you, which will end you up in more of conflicts, right? As we were discussing earlier. Because what happens is perfectionism, the problem with perfectionism is that you will not be able to do everything perfectly. You will not be able to practice perfectionism every time, especially if you are working in a very fast paced job, a very busy environment. You can't take the time, you can't afford to take time to be giving up perfect outputs every time, you know? Because with perfectionism, if that becomes a trait of yourself, you're never satisfied with the work that you do, right? When you're not satisfied with the output you're giving, when you're not satisfied with the work that is being done, it slowly pulls down your morale and you will lose interest in the work that you do. If you're doing a disinterested work, then imagine how stressful that is going to be, right? So a good strategy to avoid perfectionism trap is always planning to do your best, right? Just make sure that you're giving your best in the available time. Keep time in check, and instead of wanting to give the perfect output, just focus on giving your best output and just appreciate yourself for the efforts that you're giving. If you practice this, your results will be better, and also you will feel less stressed at work, right? And add happiness wherever you go, in any form. That could be um, listening to music, watching a comical video in between, somewhere in between, or let's just take a photo, in your workplace when you are having a positive moment in there. Anything like that keeps you going. And like particularly listening to music offers many benefits and can help you relieve stress. It could be before you go to work, like on your way to work, you could get yourself listening to some good music, and that will improve your mood. Or during your work, when you're working, have your productivity playlist on, and that can help you, focus better. Or after work, when you're leaving back home, listen to more of soothing music, a singer who you love, and that will help you, regenerate yourself after a busy day at work, right? So you have to pay importance, to the kind of music that you listen. During the morning, you can't listen to a slow-paced song and start a sleepy day. No. So morning it has to be an upbeat kind of songs, right? That you can listen to while you're driving with a bit of energetic ones. So it will be helping you, start your day off better by feeling well, and you are all prepared to interact with other people in your life, right? So when you go back home after a long day at work, listen to your favorite music and slowly unwind and feel less stressed when you reach home. So back home, you can listen to soothing music that calms you down, that helps you relax. So morning music, it has to pump you up. After, later in the evening, it has to calm you down. So plan your playlist accordingly, right? So if you look at it, we are not talking about any of external stressors here, right? What other people do, to make your life stressful, or making your workplace stressful. Rather, we are talking about what you can do to handle your workplace stress, which is more important, right? Because pointing at another person and saying everything is because of them, or that particular external factor, will not help us. As responsible individuals, we have to take ownership of making our work a little stressless. And in order to achieve less stressful work, if you are expected to bring in such changes, yes, we can very well, right? So uh, these are certain baby steps I think we can do from our end to avoid, the effects of such stressors in the workplace. So moving further on to the work-life balance segment, because this is quite a challenge, right? In the present scenario, maintaining work-life balance is, becoming a major thing. But the problem here is that people don't understand the concept of work-life balance in the right sense, right? It is not, just like say, it is not establishing a balance in everyday life. No, you will not be able to achieve work-life balance every day. It is not like, okay, every day when I get to work 9 to 5, I'll be at workplace. After 5, it is going to be completely for myself, friends, family, and 9 to 5 is work. 5 to rest of the day is for myself, and this is the balance I'm going to establish. No. Or Monday to Friday is for my work, and weekends is for me and my family, and I'm going to make a balance. No, right? Work-life balance doesn't work that way, right? Rather have a clear-cut understanding of work-life balance, because it is not a static goal. Work-life balance is the ability to maintain, or having the flexibility to shift between what is necessary, right? So sometimes it is about your work, and sometimes it is about family, based on requirements, based on the need of the heart, right? You can't have a schedule to establish work-life balance. You have to prioritize, right? So it is, it is going to be overwhelming when we want to balance both our work and life. But if we can keep things under control, that is going to help you, right? So when we talk about the term work-life balance in itself, you have to see why work-life balance and why not life-work balance. Can I get a piece of your mind? What do you think? Why do we look at this concept as work-life balance and not life-work balance? Why is it framed in such a way? Yeah, any inputs from any one of you is appreciated. Why do you think it's why work-life balance and not life-work balance?
Maybe work is the important thing to live a life, not a
Okay,
lavish life, by basic life.
right. Yeah, Manon, you want to say something?
Yeah, sorry. So, maybe I think that because our life is not meant to just work, we frame it like that. It is work-life balance. We have to work for for the need of it and not for like we are. Our life is not meant for just working. So maybe that's why it is framed that way. Just
No.
my point of view.
Okay, Nikhil has said because we prioritize work more nowadays. Right. Uh, your points, all your points are taken. But when we look at how this is framed, it is again because of certain existing invisible societal norms, right? You are a person of worth. You are a person of respect if you are on a stable and respectful job, right? How you're living your life isn't perceived to be important. Rather, your role as in work, as in how you generate revenue, that is given more importance from the societal point of view than the way you live your life, right? So that is one sole reason why work is always given priority than life. See, we will see a lot of quotes saying, we work so hard on our jobs, which can replace us at any time, right? Let's say you're working 200%, and sometimes you just fall ill, and then your company can just replace you with another employee. We know this, but still we prioritize work first. You can see people, employees who will skip breakfast and go to work, right? But we don't realize that work we go to work primarily to get our basic needs done, like food, nutrition, shelter. These are all the basic requirements why we end up going to work. But then they skip breakfast and go to work, then the entire equilibrium is upside down. So work-life balance is a state of equilibrium where a person equally prioritize the demands of their work and demands of their personal life, right? So why is there a problem with work-life balance? There is increased responsibilities at work, and you're working longer hours, or there are increased responsibilities at work, home. You're getting new responsibilities like becoming a parent or taking care of your in-laws. So when your presence or when your requirement increases in either your work environment or in your home environment, that is when you will start feeling this imbalance. Like you're paying too much importance to your work, or you're paying too much importance to your family, and you're not having a balance. So when we understand work-life balance, first thing we have to accept there is no perfect work-life balance. Okay, as I was saying, don't imagine work-life balance as having an extremely productive day at work and leaving early to spend the other half of the day with friends and family. No, this looks like an ideal day, but it is not always possible. It is not realistic. So when you look for a perfect schedule, 9 to 5 and 5 to rest of the day, that is not realistic. But rather strive for more positive, more realistic things. So some days you might focus more on work, while other days you might have more time and energy to go for your hobbies, your interest in maybe spending some time with your loved ones. Balance here is achieved over time and not each day. Okay, work-life balance is achieved over time. Like when you look back for the past 3 months, are you happy with the way that you're working and living? Look at just introspect, just reflect and see how the past 3 months are working for you. Were you able to do all that you wanted to do in your workspace and all that you wanted to do in your personal life? Right? So it is with time and not on an everyday basis, definitely not on an everyday basis. Right? It is dynamic, it is very fluid. And you are making yourself available based on priorities. Right? At times your children might need you. It could be they are participating in a marathon, or they are doing a stage performance and they would definitely want you to be there. Yes, you prioritize that. And sometimes you have to travel for work, and that is very important at that point in time. So you allow yourself to travel for work. So based on assessing your needs, you find your balance. Right. So most important of what helps here is finding a job you love. See, work is as we were discussing, work is an expected societal norm. But your work shouldn't be restraining you from the way you want to live your life. If you hate what you do, you are not going to be happy, and that's it. That's it. End of discussion. If you hate what you do, you're not going to be happy. Right? It is not that you have to love every part of your job, every inch of your job, but it just has to be exciting enough that you're not fighting to get out of bed every morning. The job in itself should motivate you to get to work every day. So only if you find a job that you're passionate about, right? Find a job that you're so passionate about, you would do it for free, right? Even if no one is paying for what I'm doing, I'm ready to do this job. And imagine getting paid for it. That is like double bonus, because you're passionate, you're even ready to do it for free, and you're even paid for it. Then you would love doing it. Right? So find a job that you really love, and that in itself will help you establish work-life balance. Right? And you should definitely plan to engage in leisure activities. Right? Because when people think of work-life balance, leisure time is often the first thing that comes to their mind. Right? So if I'm having a proper work-life balance, then I should be having a lot of leisure time, and I should be able to do what I like to do. Right? It could be as simple as going cycling every day, or hitting the gym, or playing badminton with your friends or neighbors in the evening. It could be anything. But have some leisure time schedule. And there is even research behind the idea that leisure, or having leisure time promotes stress management, and stress management activities can increase productivity and increase your resource building, right? So find time or allocate time to things that we enjoy and relax. So if you do that on a regular basis, you can also partly elevate your stress from daily life and stress from your work, and also rebuild yourself every day. So find a leisure time, right? And very importantly, look at your priorities, right? If there is any unnecessary obligations, cut out from it, right? Let's say you wanted to spend this weekend with your family, but your colleague has invited you for a party, right? It's a Saturday evening. You had planned to take your family out for dinner, or you wanted to go out for a movie, and then your colleague is inviting you for a party, like an office party. So now it is this or that, right? Should I go for the party with my friends, colleagues, or should I opt to go with my family? So there you have to look at your priorities, right? See what is more important. Is attending this party hosted by your colleague connected to your work, or connected to your goal of why you're at work, or is it really necessary? So if you can cut out, if you can opt out from certain situations and prioritize purely what you want, then just go for it, right? Plan your priorities right. If you make certain commitments, and if it is very draining for you, right, it drains a lot of energy, then you can cut out, right? Let's say you had agreed to go on a trip with your colleagues, like it's an office trip, but it involves a lot of travel that will again make you tired, and when you come back to work you'll not have energy at your desk. Then you can opt out, saying no, I don't want to do it this time, I don't feel like doing it. Rather, you can take your own leisure time, or additional time with your family. So simply before doing any commitments, do a cost benefit analysis, right? What is it going to cost on me, or what is the benefit of going for this? If the cost is higher than the benefit, accept, right? So when you take a look at your priorities and figure out what is important to you, then you can say no to other some things, right? So when you say no to some things, you will have time to say yes for something else, right? So we should be able to develop this art of saying no without hurting the feelings of other person. Just assertive communication, right? And see, you need not do everything by yourself all the time, right? You need not be that superhero who's able to manage everything every time. Delegate when possible, right? Because delegation is something that comes naturally for some people, but very uncomfortable for others, right? It is quite an less used or an underused strategy for some who can really benefit from it. Okay, you have a task in hand, and if you have the chance to delegate it to someone, or at least partly, right? Let's say you have a task in hand and you're expected to complete it today evening, and instead of doing it all by yourself, if you can bring in support, right? Delegate half the task to someone else, or ask your team to support in that particular task and give parts of the task to them, delegate it to them, lesser your workload, right? Sharing a bit of your workload to others, it is very helpful for you. It can also sometimes be like trading off. They handle some of your workload, then you should trade it with some of their workload, something that you enjoy in their work, you can take a part of it and you can handle it, and you can give some part of yours to others. The mix and match, this trade-off and delegation helps stress under control. Or if you can hire it out, right? Make someone else do it for you and then you pay for that. Right? That is also an option that people are guilty of thinking about it, but then it can be done. Right? And are there people who will be willing to do it for you if you ask them? Say, you have a task in hand to complete. You have to make to office early today, and then today is a deadline for you to pay someone, like say for your work oriented, pay particular tax or some charges. You can delegate something like that to other family members. It's not that you have to do it all the time, right? You can delegate and it's okay, because as I said in the beginning, it is comfortable for some, but it's totally uncomfortable, something that people will never resort to, but it is an underused hack. People can make use of it. It's more efficient, right? And when it is always about health, prioritize your health first, be it physical health, emotional health, psychological health, whatever it is. Health in all domains, prioritize your health first, right? If just as we begin, you are skipping breakfast to go to work, then the point of going to work is a question there. If you're worsening your physical health and going to work, what are you going to do with all the resource that you acclaim, like be it money or whatever it is? If you can't make use of it, then there is no purpose. You should be healthy enough to experience everything that the resources can bring you, right? So when it comes with health, always prioritize health than work. And one thing which is more of a problem right now is the reply ASAP culture. In workplace, people have this culture of replying, demanding replies ASAP. If something is posted in the official WhatsApp group, then you have to respond to it at the earliest. There are people who will send you emails and check whether you are active on WhatsApp or Instagram, and they'll DM saying please refer to the mail. People don't spare you if you are on off, if you are on a weekday off or weekend off, or you're in a vacation. If you are accessible to them, they demand you to be there, right? They really demand you to be there, that respond or just do this favor. People ask for it. So this culture of reply ASAP increased with technology. Like when we started having smartphones into picture, when communication was made easy, then this reply ASAP culture became a hassle. So if at all possible, if you want to have a better work-life balance, have a separate device for your personal mobile and office mobile. See, it could be an expenditure that you would want to buy another mobile, maintain another SIM card, but that's like an investment that you're making on your work-life balance. Right? Have a different device, personal and professional. So sometimes if you're not responding, you can say, I left my office phone at work, or I just went out, I was not having my office mobile, I just had my personal device and I couldn't respond. Right? Or they'll not come and peep into your personal WhatsApp and see if you're active in there, and given allocate work for you, ask for favors in your DM. Right? So be it handling stress at workplace or be it handling your work-life balance better, everything begins with how you prepare yourself and how you keep yourself equipped to do it. The change definitely begins from you. You have to implement what is good for you. Right? So yes, thank you. I think we it's an hour up, and you are all very patient in listening to what I had to share. And I will open the forum now for discussions. Anything that you would like to ask, or comment, convey, share, the platform is open. And before I do that, I'll just remind you guys that we at Chanakya will help you handle stress related to workplace, or improve your work-life balance. We handle personal sessions, or even we can address you as a team, or as a company. Like the participants here, if you think that such sessions would be helpful for your people in the company, we can deliver sessions custom made for your expectations and requirements. So it is just all aligned with our ultimate goal of improving mental health and well-being of our population. So we are trying to do it in every forum possible. Right? So you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and even LinkedIn to get regular updates on our workshops and other programs that we conduct. Yes, so now I'll leave the platform open for any discussions or questions. Please feel free.
All okay, sir.
Okay, thank you.
I think, sir, you have explained quite well and covered all the points. So it was pretty clear and helpful. And especially the point of starting your day with some either music or just spending some time in silence, like physical and mental silence. That helps a lot, even if it is just 15 to 20 minutes or half an hour. It sets your mind, like, it readies your mind to face the day ahead. So that is very helpful, surely. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Manu.
Hello, sir. I have a small query regarding this session. So basically, when we work, and even after work factors, let's say like if I'm working from morning 9 to evening 5, and even after going to the home or even while sleeping, I always have this thought of that, okay, I have to do this, I have to complete this. It is something like a post relation factor. Even after completing the work, even after getting back to my home, in my personal time also, I often think about that work. So not only me, like most of the people have this factor where they would have completed that work, but still they'll have this thought, okay, how can I betterment it, how can I initiate it, something like a post factor thought. How can we handle this thought? I hope most of the working professionals would relate to me, I guess.
Sure. That is definitely a common thing to be addressed. But then, people have to, build this quality of unplugging. So you have to cut your ties with your workspace once you get out of it. Like it is like a simple practice of putting it on and off. Just like let's say you reach that space, then you put your work mode on, you start working it, and once you step out of your office, you have to turn off your work mode and then enter your personal space. So let's say when you're commuting back from work, instead of checking your mails or messages from workplace, get into something else, right? Which is of your interest. Like people who are successful in establishing workplace or work-life balance, they have noticed that those successful people use time that is around work for something of their interest. Like when they it takes 1 hour or 1.5 hours to travel to work or back home from work, and those people they read novels on the way back, or they listen to an audiobook in their travel. So there are people who work during that time who still contribute to work or think, as you say, think about their commitments. But there are people who unplug from that and get into something of their interest. So it is by totally by practice, right? We have to decompress ourselves from work, unplug ourselves from that, renovate our own self so that we'll have the energy for next day. So it is definitely more like a tactic, like a practice, but it is the habit of unplugging, which we have to be more mindful of.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. It helps a lot.
All right. So if we do not have any further queries or comments, I think we'll wrap today's session. Right? Thank you for your participation, guys. We appreciate it and have a good day.